Hello everyone, welcome to our review of the Florida Gators versus Samford Bulldogs and the operational issues that were inside the game. It's good to see you again, so let's get into the game. Before an announced crowd of 89,295, the Florida Gators defeated the Samford Bulldogs 45-7 in a game that lasted 3 hours and 20 minutes. Here's a look at some of the key takeaways from the Gators' 45-7 victory, and we're going to focus on the offensive production, the defensive strengths, and the concerning operational inconsistencies. Quarterback Lagway demonstrated exceptional playmaking ability, showcasing both his arm strength and his mobility. He finished 456 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. This included 2 long connections, one of a 77-yard bomb to Elijah Badger, and the other one to Eugene Wilson on an 85-yard touchdown capture. The pass to Badger was a play-action wheel route, which allowed some time for Lagway to show off his perfectly placed pass over the defense into Badger's awaiting arms down the field. Then we saw a play-action pass by Lagway, creating big play opportunities for his receivers, specifically a 44-yard pass to DK. Then Florida, using the play-action pass again, went to Mizell for a 41-yard touchdown pass on the right side on a stop-and-go route. 2 Gators receivers collected over 100 yards in the game. You see here, Badger had 123, and Wilson had 141, plus the 85-yard touchdown pass from Lagway. The running game for Florida was led by Montrell Johnson, who provided a consistent rushing attack inside the tackles and outside the tackles. His 2 touchdowns highlighted his red zone efficiencies, and he finished the game with 67 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Gators' defense pressured Samford quarterback in 4 sacks with 26 yards of total lost. They forced 9 punts, forced 4 fumbles, 5 pass breakups, and 6 quarterback pressures, along with 8 different tackles for loss. The defense only created 1 turnover, though. It was a fumble recovery on Samford's very first possession. The defense held Samford to 205 total yards on 68 plays. However, the defense exhibited lapses in discipline, committing costly penalties, including personal fouls that extended Samford drives. Despite the dominant win, the Gators displayed concerning operational inconsistencies, particularly in the second half. Confusion and miscommunication were evident on multiple occasions. The Gators were called for 7 penalties that totaled 77 yards. The numerous missed assignments that stalled drives were a highlight and a lack of focus. At the start of the 4th quarter, for instance, when the Gators came out of the break after the Tom Petty song, Lagway was not able to snap the ball, which caused the Gators to call a timeout out of a break. And that happens way too much for the Gators. And then a holding call on the line of scrimmage by George, and then a loss of yard play brought up and then the illegal formation. All those things led to the Gators not scoring a touchdown to start the 4th quarter, but they were there, that they just couldn't get it in. Some of the strengths for the Gators on this day was the ability to create big plays, particularly through the passing game. Lagway again connected with Badger, and then Hawkins, and then a 44-yarder to Mizell. With Lagway passing for 456 yards, it was the most ever for a freshman starting quarterback for the Gators. The run game was effective again, with Johnson leading the way with 2 more touchdowns. And then the defense was opportunistic, keeping Samford off guard, forcing punts, and creating fumbles, only gaining 1 of those. Special teams was actually probably the highlight of the game for the Gators. Again, the 2 punts they connected on were for 100 total yards, averaging 50 yards per punt. One was fair caught, and the other one was tried to return. The runner only got to the 9-yard line. So definitely doing better on special teams, plus the 7 extra points that Trey Smack connected on was definitely looking good for the Gators. Now the weaknesses. Florida committed way too many penalties, as we said, 7 for 77. Holding calls that negated first downs, a face mask penalty that allowed the scoring drive for Samford to continue. Then we have holding and illegal procedures in the red zone. Those are going to be disastrous against tougher opponents. You see coverage breakdowns by the defense and occasional lapses in where and who they should be covering. The deep pass for 45 yards by Samford that fell right into the hands of the receiver as the defensive back fell down. Should have gone for a touchdown, but the Gators were lucky that the receiver fell down as he caught the ball. Now, Samford had some strengths against Florida. Specifically, they were able to move the ball whenever they wanted to in the first half. They just weren't able to sustain long drives, but they were able to get big plays, 10 yards here, 12 yards there, and that allowed them to keep going, especially when Florida was committing the penalties that they were. For the Gators, securing convincing victory was object number one. They showed offensive firepower that they had lacked to show previous to this. The defense is showing potential, and hopefully they can continue providing the Gators with what they need in this disciplined area which they were raising concerns. These inconsistencies, though, will be crucial to the Gators. If you can't fix those, they're definitely going to have a hard time. And, well, congratulations to the Gators. It's been the first win for them in 11 months, 329 days since they last won a football game. So congratulations to them, and we'll see what happens to them next week.